Hello and welcome back to the My Two Set show, where we deep dive into the world of Bitcoin, freedom, and the incredible people and stories making a difference in the world today. I'm your host, Two Sats, and today we're in for an absolute treat, man. Our guest today is a visionary, a humanitarian, and a Bitcoiner who's fundamentally changing lives in El Salvador's poorest communities. He's also the man behind Bitcoin Mountain, a project that's building homes, schools, women's shelters, and hope through the power of Bitcoin. You all know him online as MurphsLife. Please welcome the one, the only, Aaron Murphy. How's it going, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing, brother? Thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, man, appreciate you, man.
Pleasure to have you, man. I'm glad that we could connect and jump on so quick. I'm really pumped to have you here. You know, your work is really inspiring to me and people all over the world, the Bitcoin community, and most importantly, affecting real lives on the ground in the communities around you and that you're building. So I want to thank you for all that you're doing, and you're really a bright light. And sometimes, what's a selfish and dark world, but you're making it bright.
Yeah, man, it's cool, dude. Here in El Salvador was kind of an accident, like with this whole project that somehow turned into Bitcoin Mountain. We just came down here and found a piece of land that was basically like a dump when it was full of the gangs here. And it's really cool. We have starting Monday, we're gonna have around 130 employees, and a lot of them make three x the amount that they were making before. So it's really cool, and that's thanks to everyone that's been donating all their Sats, their dollars, all their forms of currency to make this possible.
Wow. Yeah, right off the bat, that's incredible just to go in there and 3x someone's salary, let alone, 100 plus people at this point. And I feel like you're probably just getting started with what I've seen you talk about. This is probably still early days in comparison to where you're going to be going. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we're still in baby phase, man. We haven't opened. We've been building for 4 years, which is insane, man. Like, not necessarily 4 years ago we started the construction, but we fenced up around 45 acres so to prevent people from dumping trash from the side of the highways. And then we actually started working with the prisoners here. So when I met up with the president, he opened up a few other contacts in the government, and for about a year, we just had the prisoners cleaning out all the trash, and then we started terracing the land, and now we work 100% with the locals now to give them jobs in the area.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Your journey has taken you to some incredible places. But for everybody that's maybe new to you, I want to just ask you, like, what sparked this fire in you? Because there's a lot of people that hold Bitcoin. They've accumulated a lot of wealth, but they don't necessarily do anything with it. They don't go out and fundamentally try to reshape the world around them, like what you're doing. Was there a moment in your life where you said, I'm going to dedicate myself to helping others? And how did Bitcoin become part of that mission?
Before I started doing my work, I got into Bitcoin right around 2017. I think that was kind of the year that a lot of people, started playing with it, and um, but I guess it was the spark was to spend the Bitcoin. We had, as a foundation, we were spending really quickly. So I was in Mexico, and we built a micro economy for a community in Oaxaca. And so we built like 12 homes and two on top of three houses, and then there was two bungalows, like actually really nice apartments that we put on top. And seeing that, it's like we took a family that was making like $5-10 in their pesos a day, just kind of pushing their ice cream carts, um, to making, like renting out those rooms for 75-100 a night to us gringos, and that was freaking rad, man. And by doing that video, it brought in more. I noticed that it started bringing in more donations when I stopped focusing on my social media, which is the more powerful ones are Twitter, Instagram. Over there, between those two, we have almost going on around 8 million subscribers. And because before it was just like, here's a lot of cash, and then it evolved into small businesses, and then it evolved into houses coming with businesses. And the more that I noticed that we're focusing on the important stuff, which is teaching people how to fish, the more donations came in. So kind of what sparked it was, we had almost $4 million in the bank, and I'm spending this like as fast as I can, and it's kind of growing, like the graph is kind of going like this. So when I got stuck in Ecuador during COVID, a family took me in, and it was a really cute grandma, and that grandma had her, which would be her mom, which is like 90 years old, and they're feeding me, hanging out with me, and this is kind of I didn't have the foundation yet. I'm a backpacker. I didn't have any money, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back and surprise this family. We built them a badass house, dude. Like I'm talking like super rad. That's one of the videos that's pinned at the top of my page on TikTok and Instagram. And we built this rental unit that they could sell for like 150, $175 a night because they're right on the border of Colombia. And the son was a semi truck driver, so he worked for a company. And when I was with him, he was always complaining about, how it is in Latin America, like, he never pays me, he owes me 4 months, and then the person eventually quits. You quit, I'm not going to pay you, and they'll hire someone else to take advantage of. So it was cool. I made good friends with him. I During COVID, you couldn't, only semi trucks could be out in the road, so I'd hide in the bed and I would travel all over the place. We went to the border of Peru to deliver bananas. We went to Guayaquil. We went to into the Amazon, and I'm just like this little like monkey hiding in a semi truck to get out of the house. And so we come back and we built the grandma, this beautiful home with a rental unit and 2 units underneath for them to live in. And then for the son, we surprised him with a brand new semi truck, like 2023, 2024, like brand new um, truck. And that right there was like, I remember they had a month where they're saying $7,000 profit for a poor family, like US dollars. And that was like a new addiction, like a beautiful drug. Like, holy shit, this is an impact that's affecting that truck driver's children now. It goes to a good school, has nice clothes, you know what I mean? Like they travel now, they go to the beaches, they like seeing that was so cool. And the reason I spent so much money was, in my brain, I'm like, I gotta freaking spend this money. Like I shouldn't have so much money in my account, so how can I spend more money? But it recouped, so I was like, oh my gosh. So then, I had this impression, which I believe is God. I pray a lot and I say, what should I do next? What should I do next? So God led me to put a fascination in my heart with farming. And we now have 3 farms. We have almost 200 acres in Ecuador, in a farm near the border of Colombia. And then we have another farm, maybe like 90. I gotta check the escrituras. Maybe 90 acres in the Amazon rainforest, which is about 30 minutes from our 6 women shelters that we have. And then our main farm is here in El Salvador, and this is where we've pumped in, a lot of the money that we had, that we've accumulated. And so the main idea of this is going to be like I was kind of sitting there when you said spark, because a lot of people don't want to spend their Bitcoin. And like I have a couple friends, one of my best friends, and he was the one who got me into crypto and Bitcoin. And because at first I was into everything from like XRP to Mana to all the shit coins. And you know and and he had these dreams of doing something similar in Puerto Rico. But he never wanted to sell his coins. He never wanted to sell it. It's like, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go up. And not, like, we don't really know, but I think he committed suicide. um Either way, he died. And so it was 2 friends, so both of them died, and they didn't do anything. They never followed their dreams because they kept waiting and waiting and waiting for it to go up. And for me, it's like, you know when I was stuck during COVID, when humanity was stuck in their houses, bored as shit, you know that's kind of where the idea sparked of like, man, if I had the coolest farm and I could go to the gym, if I had my own gym, if I had like a sauna, if I had a place where I could go walk without the police telling me to get back in the house, if I had, like, and so that right there was I can create something beautiful. I've done it before multiple times at a large level, where I can completely take micro communities out of poverty. So how do we grow this? And that's kind of where the concept Bitcoin Mountain started. And 2021, I didn't want to get a COVID shot, so I was stuck in Mexico. They wouldn't let me go to Brazil. They wouldn't let me go to. We named off like 6 countries. I'm in the airport. We couldn't even go back to Ecuador, where my wife is from. She didn't have the shot yet either. And And so I'm like, where do we go? And I was doing a live on my Instagram, and a whole bunch of people are saying, go to El Salvador, go to El Salvador. And I was like, everyone tag Bukele. So everyone starts tagging Bukele. And then I get off the live and I'm like, what the hell are we going to do? Like, let's go get a hotel tonight. And we're going to the hotel. And I see this notification with the check mark, like Nayib Bukele. And it says, hey, man, you want to come check out my country? And I was like, oh, shit. Like, is this real? And I click on it. It's his actual page. And I was like, yeah, dude, I want to go. We jump on the next flight. We head to El Salvador. He had his guys there, like the presidential guys, come pick us up. We went to a hotel, and then we had a meeting the next day with him, and we talked about his concept, his dream of creating Bitcoin City. And we loved it, dude. It was so rad. And I told him, like, I wanted to help fundraise and donate $1 million towards building, with another friend of mine, towards building a school, like Bitcoin school. And like, a developing country that has a lot of debt, that has a lot of issues, like every country, especially developing countries. It's things take time, things have to develop. And so, but that kind of stuck with me, and we ended up buying this farm, and we've kind of fixed it up. We do the terraces, and for me, I'm like, this is just a food farm. But the more Bitcoiners that started moving here, the more tourists that started coming to El Salvador, I was like, we could build something really freaking cool. We could build something really rad. Take all of our knowledge from the hundreds of micro we built. Dude, we built so many coffee shops and restaurants, and from freaking semi trucks to 30 plus Airbnbs for families. When I say Airbnb, I just mean a rental unit. And I'm like, all right, let's build the citadel. Let's build the citadel. And that's where we've put in a good, I got to check the numbers, but maybe $3-4 million in heavy, like 10,000 plus plants and trees. Um and and it slowly became this obsession of, like, I want to have the world's most biodiverse botanical fruit garden. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to come here and it's like, oh, I've never seen a banana. Well, we have 20 kinds of bananas. Wow, you have apples, peaches, pears, everything you find in North America, cherries, to exotic fruits that you see in Brazil, to Ecuador. So that's an ongoing thing that we have. We have a couple hours because it's like a cliff, and then there's like a jungle in the. So we have like an hour of hiking trails that we're planting different plants that we find on top of places that weren't deforested with permission. So we're like, this is a new part of the fascination. Let's make like a really cool, unique, diverse jungle in here, with mixed flowers, and it's working. It's bringing in so many like new birds. People are like, I haven't seen that bird in like 10 years. And that's kind of what's happening now. We our new goal to have here, outside of here, we have a corner store for the community, and we're right off the highway. Like, I'm 10 meters is the highway right here that takes you from Guatemala to the capital. And then you go down about 200 meters where our farm goes, and there's a roundabout that takes you to two of the largest cities. 20 minutes to Santa Ana, 20 minutes to Sonsonate. We're an hour 10 minutes from the capital. So it's a huge blessing. Like, a lot of our friends in real estate always tell me, like, dude, like, you don't understand, your guys' property is one of the best real estates in the country for the mountains, like literally one of the best located, if not one of the best. Um, so in that sense, it's like, it was almost like a divine, like, how do we come here and get this property for so cheap? We bought it for 100 grand, and now it's probably valued over $6 million. Just to get an idea, especially with the work we've put into it. Um, so yeah, we want to finish this. The new goal now is by January. So we're going to have a corner store. We're going to extend it and have a coffee shop. It'll have a really large home up top with 3 bedrooms. And then we have a really big restaurant. We're extending the deck out another like 15 meters. And that way people can reserve it to do, whether they want to do Bitcoin conferences to weddings. We want to make that like big enough space. And the cool part about us extending the deck now is we're putting in really large concrete pillars, and inside of those, and underneath of the deck is going to be the spa. So we want to do red light therapy, cold plunge, dry sauna, wet sauna. We want to have scented showers with all of the flowers, like the edible flowers and all the different herbs that we're making. We're putting in a little gym. We're putting in a really large, underneath of the restaurant, we're putting in a spa for massages. This is going to give way more jobs now to people here, and then we'll be able to finish the rest of the hotel. Right now, we're finishing our garden area that's underneath of our parking lot, and we built a beautiful glass greenhouse that you can see through, and we have all of this, like all of our plants and all of our flowers that you see within the gardens. And underneath of that, right now we are building a pig pen. We already have pigs. We're building another thing for a couple milking cows. And last week we installed biodigesters. So you can, if you know what a biodigester is, you can use the cow shit, the poop, and all of your grass clippings and your rotting fruit, and you can mix it up in water. You put it in there, and it gives us a ton of free fertilizer for all of our gardens. And it also produces 8 hours of nonstop gas, which you can use to mine Bitcoin. You can hook it up to a generator and use it for electricity, air conditioning. So this is the concept of what I believe is when the next COVID event happens. You know what I mean? When and as a Bitcoiner, it's like everyone talks about, like, oh, there's going to be a financial collapse and Bitcoin's going to go through the roof, and people don't realize, like, when that happens, the world's going to be fucking chaos. It's going to be absolute madness, and no, you're not going to give a shit about your Bitcoin. You're not going to give two shits about, oh man, my Bitcoin is sky rising, for the most part. And I want to create. So we had a decent amount of reserves for Bitcoins. We had people donating, even from, like, uh, what's his name? The Tate brothers. I don't know if you know Andrew Tate's brother. What's his name?
Tristan.
Like Tristan. So even Tristan was donating, like $5,000 in Bitcoin, $5,000 in Bitcoin years ago, and that has helped us a ton now that it's up in the 100,000. So I took a large percentage of that and I built this because this is my Bitcoin concept of it's for me. It's way more important. I don't give a shit. When I finish this, if I can have a fully sustainable community, we, like, to really grasp this, to really, like, I'll go back to this. The other side of our farm, we have 50 shacks, and most of those people work on our farm. And a lot of those people have, my manager here, his wife has cystic fibrosis. What is that called? Where your bones kind of get really brittle. We have a 90-year-old woman up there who still works, like, collecting wood to sell as leña. So with these 50 homes, like, when the roadmap is finished, when our roadmap is finished, which is about a 2-3 year roadmap, we are going to give them a home. We can use shipping containers, whatever, and then build a rental unit on top. So imagine now it's like 50, all of them have their own homes with a really cool bungalow on top. And now it's like this. Okay, you get your regular salary, and then on top of that, we'll share up to 25% of the profits, which half of that percentage we're going to put into their cold wallets as a storage for a retirement. For every 4 to 8 years, they'll be able to take that out. And then the third is they'll have that rental unit. So other Bitcoiners want to stay there, like, they know what it's supporting. And that, to me, is the ultimate kind of a circular economy. And I kind of, a lot of my Bitcoiner friends that are really well known, not so well known, a lot of them will bring that up. They'll be like, Aaron, but you realize what you could do if with that amount of money that you had, if you didn't put it into this. And I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. John is dead and he didn't do fuck all. Another big Bitcoin community leader here, Tim, who's one of the big guys up in Berlin, heart attack, died, man. And I was with him a week or two before, and we were shooting the shit. He was telling me about his dream about potentially doing a wedding venue here. And I was like, dude, just do it, man. Just fucking do it. Nah, man, but it's going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up. You know? And like, we're all going to die, dude. We're all going to die one day. Like, death is inevitable. And, like, if you have a dream and you have the ability to do it, then go out and do it. And there's places too now, there's companies now that will give you loans against your Bitcoin. So that's my opinion, man. That's my opinion. And like I said, once this is built, once this is done, when that happens, man, like, in 4, 5, 6 years, of course I could say, oh, well, I would have had $500 million as a foundation if I never would have fucking sold it. I don't care, because if I can help my manager and I can help that 90-year-old lady not have to go pick wood, and she has some Bitcoiner staying up there, and that's paying for her medicine, her food, her water, that to me is a win. If I can spend all my Bitcoin right now and do a case study, and in 10 years, you know, man, in 10 years, I can take the poorest community and then we say, what, look at this person that was dirt fucking poor. And now they have access, you know, like to that Bitcoin to be able to invest in their more property, more businesses, send their kids to whatever school, you know what I mean? Like take them out of poverty through Bitcoin. That to me is my sacrifice. And you know, I'm kind of more straying away from the Bitcoin community because the reason why I was able to in 4 or 5 years go from nothing to have millions of dollars in our foundation's account was by following the law of abundance, following the law of tithing, following the law of serving without expecting nothing in return. And I've been to a couple meetups and I've been to a couple, and it's a different energy for me, man. It's a different energy of like, don't spend, don't spend, don't spend, don't spend. And I agree with that totally. I agree, like hold, save, have a reserve. But what I'm talking about is for when God calls you and you have a dream, you better go out and do that, because you're going to regret it one day. You're going to regret it. And one thing that is going to be for a moment in time more valuable in my opinion than Bitcoin is having a piece of land that you have refuge, that you have free food, you have well water, that you're not going to rely on government, you know. And for me, I've went down that rabbit hole with my brain, and that's why we have 3 farms now. We'll soon acquire potentially another farm in Costa Rica, where we have one of our subscribers that have offered us a donation in a multi-million-dollar property 15 minutes from the airport. And I actually told them I don't want to accept that yet until I fully build this out. Like, let me build this out, and then I'll put that in my foundation's name. But let me build this first and prove this concept, because this idea, this vision that I have is imagine this for a second. This is kind of the citadel. Other people invest around us, you know, and they don't invest in the foundation. You invest in your own thing. Do your own thing, you know, and that's what kind of people get confused. Like, I don't want to take your money and then you're going to get a percentage of this, because that I can't do that as a 501c3 running out of the United States. Like, this is for women's shelters and giving profit share. That's what it's for. This is for a school to teach people permaculture principles, how we can rejuvenate the soil. But if you have a dream, you want to build a hostel, then fuck yeah, come here and build a hostel, because we're going to need that. I only have 7, 8 rooms. I only have 8 rooms. If someone puts a freaking hostel next door, if someone buys a piece of the foundation's land and builds a hostel, dude, like, hell yeah, join in. You know, oh hey, our rooms are going to be $300, $400, $500 a night. I can't afford that. Oh cool, you know what? We have a hostel next door. $20, $15. Someone else could build bungalows, tree houses, $100. Someone could build domes, $150. Someone could build an Adobe glamping. And this is my vision, where people come in, they invest, you have your own business. And what I say is I just give a counsel of put a tithing in that. Give 10% in profit share to your people. And if they're a Bitcoiner, I'm going to say you should put that into a cold wallet for them and giving them incentive. Like, hey, if you stay with me for 4 years, let's write a contract up and you get access to 100% of this in 4 years. You know, you don't steal from me. You work hard. You don't show up late. Here's an incentive. I'm still going to pay you the legal amount. I'm still going to give you a little bit of bonus on this. But that's kind of the concept. And if we create that, then this can be duplicated. You know, like I've built 3 homes now, cabins on our farms in South America, like really cool. One of them we have 12 beds. We have 2 rivers running through our property. You have to cross a bridge to get into our property. It's like the ultimate freaking doomsday bunker. It's badass, dude. Fruit trees high up in the mountain. We have 2 small waterfalls, and the other one in the Amazon is one of my favorites. It's a beautiful river that'll just take you up into the middle of nowhere. And what I find funny is like so many Bitcoiners, are kind of like doomsdayers at heart. But for me, it's like I love, I'm not afraid to say that. I love it. And so many people said conspiracy, conspiracy. And look what happened during COVID, man. Look what freaking happened, dude. How many people lost their businesses, their jobs, their savings, and you couldn't go anywhere. And depending on what country you're in, dude, when I was in South America, I was sitting on my porch and the military came and said they were going to put me in prison if I didn't get back off of my porch. So these are ways I think of how much can we push the boundaries, so I'm all about preparing for the inevitable. And it's not like a preparing in the sense of I'm going to buy all, $100,000 worth of food storage. Like that's one thing. This is something that you can enjoy during good times and bad times. Oh, we got free food, we got free energy, we have hiking, we have a gym. So to kind of wrap that up is once this is finished, I want to have another one in South America and then eventually spread it. And so now imagine a Bitcoiner comes in and he's like, okay, I want to buy a lot from you. I want to just maybe just build my house. I don't have the money to build a business, but I want to have something. And I want to build a house on this one, and I want to build a house in the one in Ecuador. And the cool concept of this is governments shift like this. Countries go through civil wars. So if one the shit, I don't care. So many people ask me that, like, well, what if the government? Like, I don't care. I'll move. You shouldn't care either. I'll move. Who cares? We're not taking our money with us. We're not going to take our Bitcoin with us. We're going to die. And the only thing that we're going to have with us is our essence, our word, and our experiences. That's it. That's all we're gonna take with us. So my dream concept with this is imagine we have it in Costa Rica by the border of Colombia, in the Amazon, here in El Salvador, and people, let's imagine someone comes in and they build 4 houses. They buy their lots, they build their cool houses, and now it's like, you know what? I love this. I'm going to live in El Salvador for 6 months out of the year. I'm fascinated by the Amazon jungle. I'm going to go live there for a month. And while you're not on, and we've already sold them before, people are building now. The concept for them is, hey, I travel to Mexico quite a bit. When they're not there, it's a part of Casa Conejo, so the foundation can manage it. We make sure there's no leaks. We have armed guarded security. I have 40 to 50 solid on salary gardeners that I've trained in permaculture. We've spent a lot of money bringing people in from South America, from Australia, like 25 years in permaculture that we are teaching them. All of our gardeners are becoming permaculture and organic certified, meaning they're teachers, meaning if someone comes here, whether in the hotel, whether a Bitcoiner, whether someone wants to come for a month, they can work in our gardens and then receive their own certification to take that knowledge back, to do their own homestead. To maybe another farmer is like, yeah, we kind of want to go organic. What can we learn? They can send their employees here. So this is also a part of the concept of we want to be the hub for soil regeneration, because that's a whole other story of people just eating shit food. You know what I mean? Our food is the soil is dead. We've sprayed so many heavy chemicals on it. You have to eat 100 times more. I don't know the exact number. You have to eat so much more fruit than what you could have gotten from like one piece of fruit, even 50 years ago. So these are really important things that I don't want to wait for maybe Bitcoin hit a fucking $10 million. Like maybe I don't know, but I thank God that people donated to us in Bitcoin. And I'm going to spend it to build this reality right now, because we're living in a reality that we need help right now. And we need to grow. Um, Wearing tight pants, my left testicle's going numb. We need to grow it. We need to grow consciously, because I went down this rabbit hole on a side thing. I went down this rabbit hole with AI. And I'm like, even AI admits we are not ready to advance AI, and this is going to grow exponentially. And the AI, the core values of AI are depend on the morals of the coder. And most of these coders, dude, don't believe in anything of God. They don't believe in anything of that's a whole other subject. But if we don't raise ourselves consciously, I think we're gonna totally just fucking destroy ourselves in a few years as this technology rapidly advances. So
Yeah,
right
they're
now, as
transhumanists.
exactly, and so right now, as that's happening, Bitcoin is going to be going up. So this is kind of where my brain's at right now. Is let's raise ourselves. Let's prove out the benefits of Bitcoin, and as that grows, like hell yeah, there'll be a bunch of billionaires walking around here with their Bitcoin. Cool, but I want to have a really cool model that says, wow, Bitcoin really can help the poorest of the poor, and no more like how much fucking Bitcoin you have? Who gives a shit? I don't give a fuck how much Bitcoin someone has. You know, you want to donate it to me, and I'll spend it, and we'll build another school on our over here on our property. We'll build another. I want to build a really large, like kind of greenhouse school to teach soil regeneration. You know, like that's what I'm going to do with the Bitcoin, and that's a cooler story to me. Like, you know, I built all the people who've donated. Like, you guys have fucking built something rad. You know, you guys are giving people jobs right now. That's what they're going to take with them when they die. That's going to be their karma, their blessings, you know?
Yeah.
So,
You know,
yeah,
there's people right now as we're recording this fighting on the on Bitcoin Twitter about Steak and Shake accepting Bitcoin and whether you should spend your $20 or not. And I just find that in such contrast to what you just talked about. You know, it's like this is what it's all about, man. Spend your sats, actually change people's lives. You know, get off the internet, start to think bigger and build something that's fundamentally changing lives. If Bitcoin is this great technology, it's only because it empowers people to do what you just talked about.
yeah, yeah, man. And even like when it comes to small spending, I say support. Like, why would you not support it? Supported that, you know, so it becomes a global acceptance. Like, why would you fight that? Is so fucking stupid. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're a normal human being and you're actually working, you know, you still have some forms of income coming in. So spend your 20 bucks in your sats and then just re-up your wallet right after. You're going
Absolutely.
against Bitcoin adoption. So anytime I see those conversations, I just think like it's just very ignorant. They're very ignorant and they don't understand like, yeah, spend it, support it, and then just take and re-up your little wallet, whatever. You know, people here use Blink all the time. Everyone uses Blink, and it's like they're supporting each other. They're buying each other's soaps. They're buying food in the grocery stores. They're buying, you know what I mean? And then it's like they still have income coming in, whether it's from retirement, or they have businesses back in their countries, and it's just like, don't just refill up that little wallet.
Yeah, man. No, I agree with you. They're fighting. They're infighting over the most ridiculous things instead of actually putting it to work and building what they want to see out of their world through spending their Bitcoin. So that's why I have such a focus on circular economies. And you know what you described is easily the most impactful example of it, real world. So yeah, man, there was a lot in your opening answer, and multiple times I had chills. I was thinking I should just end the podcast there and jump on a plane, because it's just beautiful. You know, most importantly, there's two things that I want to circle back to on that first rant, which is one a post that you did with your daughter in it, and you were talking about how you're probably not going to be leaving millions of dollars in your personal account, but you are going to be leaving a legacy. And I think that is extremely important and beautiful and powerful. And yeah, I hope more people start to think that way and not hoard their wealth or their knowledge, for that matter, and actually go out and change people's lives. And then the second was, you know, the people close to you passing away, and one day we're going to spend it. One day we're going to spend it and use it. And you know that clock is ticking in the background the entire time, and then one day they're no longer with you or with us, and all of that all of that sat stacking went to waste because it didn't impact anybody else, and I think that's very sad.
Yeah, man, it is, dude. And it's like life. All we have is this moment right now. This very very moment to experience this moment. We don't have yesterday. We don't have tomorrow. We have this moment right now. And when you have a dream, it's like a beautiful gift from God in this blink of an eye, this fractal of a frame in the cosmos, man. And it's like you're pushing it off to have more. I can have more. I can have more. Like the story of the monkey that gets stuck, and they're trying to find water, doesn't want to let go. And it's like, and I'm not all about saying, yeah, spend 100% of your Bitcoin, spend 100%. Like we don't, we still have a few Bitcoin that's in a reserve. And that's for an emergency. Like we don't have to pay employees. We don't have enough to finish this, then I'll spend 100% of the Bitcoin. But if people have access and you have a dream, like we're living in a time of still of abundance right now. So it's like build your business, build your dream, but build your safety. Like have a piece, have a piece of your land, because what I believe is big government doesn't want people to own land. They want you to rent everything. They want you to rent everything. Like even look at El Salvador. It's so expensive right now. It's more expensive than where my family's living in Idaho, and it's wild. Look at how house prices in the last 20 years, according to people's home income.
Oh yeah.
So if you have something, like get something and and leave something for your family. Beautiful. Leave a cool. Maybe other people don't give a shit about farms and property and whatever. I'm just a fanatic. God planted that seed in my heart, and it's something that is very important. I have this crazy vision of like cities of light, and I don't even really know what that means, but it's like there will be cities of light, and maybe not in my lifetime, maybe not in my daughter's lifetime, but there will be places of refuge where people can come to and have food and have shelter and have security for a brief moment of time, whether they're walking, traveling. And I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's like an idea that came from freaking a mix of like Nader or some shit. But it's weird because I never say like I believe 100% in. I'm a Christian. I never go out and preach that on my social media. I have friends that are atheists that work with us. We have Muslim friends, and I'm always just like, well, maybe if I was born in your religion, I would be following your religion. So it's always kind of like a maybe. But my heart and my soul is planted in Christ. So this is for me personally. But where is I going with this, dude? I totally lost my track
With the cities
with
of
it.
light.
Yeah. So with the City of Light, it is something that's like, no, that is real. And it's weird. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. And I feel like our property is going to be a blessed place, even when I'm not here. So, so for me, it's like a spiritual mission. And I think every single person needs to realize that we are not on a Bitcoin mission. You're on a spiritual mission. You're not going to take your Bitcoin with you. It's a source of money. And if you had a half a billion, if you had $50 billion, it's like, what would you do with that? You know, like who's homeboy that Max Kaiser always talks about? The guy who has some of the most Bitcoin in the world. What's his name?
Sailor.
Sailor. Yeah. So look at Sailor, for example. So many people always tell me, like, well, if I had this, then I'm going to do this. No, like look at the people with the most Bitcoin are not even selling their Bitcoin. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they should sell their Bitcoin, or they can. People have the right and the freedom to do whatever you want. But what I'm saying is be careful of a trap of holding on, holding on, holding on. And this can be to anything. It's a form of attachment, which I think as humans, as our souls evolve, we need to learn how to let go and release. And that's where I love kind of a Christian doctrine of, if you want to find God, if you really want to find, and this is universal, this doesn't have to just be to Christianity, this is universal. If you want to find God, which is within, you have to give up everything, let go of everything, because we have to give up the flesh, we have to give up the physical, we have to give up the pride to truly have God, to truly, you know what I mean? Like find God. Before you seek riches, search for the kingdom of heaven. Because I'll tell you this, man, when I gave up so much money, I was so afraid. I was like, holy shit. Like, this is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm looking at the price tag on a semi truck, and it's like, I thought it was going to cost 80 grand there, and it was just like over 100,000, and we still don't have the glass put in yet on that big house. And I was just like, holy shit. And now I'm like, what a learning experience. Who gives a fuck if I have an extra $400,000 in my bank? I have that memory, that experience, that blessing for being a small tool to be able to deliver your guys' donations, to make that small miracle happen. What a blessing, man. That's so cool. I don't care if there was another 10 zeros on the end of our bank, like, so just kind of like people really need to dig deep and and realize that, we're not just the body. And this kind of gets into a more of like a spiritual talk. Like, I am a firm believer that we have a soul, and that when we die, we're going to leave our body and we're going to travel to the next place, wherever that may be. And I'm a firm believer, and my firmity in that came from my NDE, where I overdosed and I left my body and I watched my body and I walked through my door and I'm touching wood, and the wood is saying I have a purpose. I'm on this earth. I serve as wood. I am happy. I'm grateful. Like, praising God that I could be a door. Like, the craziest that like really opened up my mind, along with like taken too many mushrooms hundreds of times, and that, which ultimately led me back to God now in my seat of Christ, and so anyway, man, like, I always tell people, like, we're spirits, we're spiritual beings, and we have the opportunity to spread love, and that is the number one thing. And Bitcoin is a tool, and I love it, and I understand it, and I respect it because it is the future. And no matter what people say, like, Bitcoin is going to be here for a long time. And the only thing that's going to wipe Bitcoin out, I believe, is these crazy quantum computers are going to catch up and then just hack everyone's shit. And the world will be fucked by then anyway, So I don't
Yeah,
know,
at that
man.
point, guess you should have bought land and built something around you at that point, a sovereign citadel, right? If that future comes to roost. So,
Yeah.
you're acting before that comes to pass. So, that's amazing. And yeah, I think to your point, bro, like, these people hoarding copious amounts of Bitcoin are the ones giving back the fewest in any tangible sense, right? Like, what could Saylor do with all of that money? Yes, he's running a company and he has shareholders and blah blah blah, but what could he do to fund a better world or shape a better world, right? I don't know what he's doing privately that he's not saying, but certainly I wish more people with that amount of wealth and Bitcoin at their disposal were doing things like what you're doing. So, and
Yeah.
to follow up on that, man, like, I think what you said is really true. Like, you wouldn't be able to do a mission like this without spirit being involved in some sense, whatever that means for every individual listening, right? But like, this isn't a Bitcoin mission, you said, it's a spiritual mission. And I think that's a powerful distinction. And Bitcoin is that tool, it's a better money that helps you do it, but it's not everything. You could have all the Bitcoin in the world, but if you don't have a spirit or a soul that's called to help other people, you won't do anything with it.
Exactly, man. And there's so many issues. Like, the soil's messed up around the world, United States, a lot of parts of Europe, like, a lot of people don't have water around the world. There's amazing people doing amazing things about that. But there's so many, like, just focuses right now. And this is where I say I don't think we're consciously ready to have AI advance as fast as it's going to advance and is advancing, because it's like, sometimes I don't understand. I like Elon. I'm not, I don't follow too much of the politics of it, but for what he's built, and you can respect that. But I think there's too much focus on, like, we're gonna have to go to Mars. We're gonna have to go to Mars. What if there was that same focus on how can we make Earth the most ridiculously badass planet in the
Yes.
cosmos, which it is. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Imagine putting that much money into creating a new source of, and sometimes people will look at me like, oh, he does charity, like Aaron must be like a very I'll say, like, a lot of people think I follow uh socialistic politics, right? Or like I would be a hardcore Democrat. And I am all about dude, I just lost the word off the top of my head. What is it called? You build businesses. I am a capitalism. Is that it?
Capitalist, yeah.
That's where you're like for businesses, right?
Yep, yep. Yeah, you're for
I'm a
profit
freaking
making.
capitalist. I'm 100% capitalist, dude. And a lot of people are like even some of my donors, dude, are kind of surprised about that. But I don't think there's any perfect system out there. I say that because in my ideal scenario, and what we need to move towards is if you work your ass off, you do not have to go and provide for all of the drug addicts. If you work your ass off, you should not be forced to donate to MurphsLife. If you work your ass off, you should not be forced to do anything that you're not truly passionate about. You know what I mean? Like now we're getting into taxes, inflation, all that jazz. I am for if you go and work your ass off, you can pay minimal taxes. But if you choose, and this is where culture needs to shift, you cannot be forced. But if culture and humanity can shift into this, I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to choose. I'm going to get my blue check on my business or whatever. I'm going to choose that 10% goes to profit share for the people who work their asses off to make me my big bucks. Or I'm going to choose that 10% is going to go towards cancer research because my wife died of breast cancer. Or I'm going to go and choose to fix the oceans because I like sailing on the weekend. You make hundreds of millions of dollars. Amazing. That's your money. You made it. And now I'm going to put my 10% of that and we're going to clean up the ocean. You know, that right there is my ideal scenario. That right there is my political view. And and it takes people having a big change of heart, change of priority, and focusing on what we have in this moment right now. You know, it's like I still don't understand that. You know, it's like why would I want to go and inhabit a planet that doesn't have oxygen? It doesn't have, you know, and I understand like the fundamental of that concept, you know? But it's like we have a beautiful planet that is blessed with animals and birds and fish. We have oxygen, we have trees. It's a blessing from God for us conscious humans. Why don't we take care of this place? Why don't we truly take care of it and bless it? And by doing this, when people give out of their heart, you cannot create. This is where I say I don't like strong socialism, is because when you're forced to give, it doesn't come from the heart, and that money cannot bring blessings back into humanity. Does that make sense? Like, and look what happens with Venezuela, with Cuba, with you know, with a lot of places, and of course, that's a big debate that you can get into, which I don't give a shit about. What I do truly believe though is when we feel a spark inside of our heart to give, every single person on this planet, from the most greedy to the most giving, can have a few memories of when they felt, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to pay for this lady's groceries behind me. I don't know why. I'm not going to stick a camera in their face and do it. Or, you know what, I'm going to call this friend and be like, hey, you need some help? And he's crying. He's like, I'm not going to pay rent. And you give them that rent. Everyone has their story and they felt good. And if you really think about it, you got a 10x that came back to you. It might have been through health. It might have been through joy. And joy is worth way more than money, because why do we want money? Why do we want more Bitcoin? So we can spend it on our dreams and we can travel and I can have a big house and I can have, or just to say, oh, I got this little computer chip screen that has a bunch of zeros at the end. That's not going to bring you joy. We want money to bring us joy, you know? And so by creating a system here on Bitcoin Mountain where you give and you don't expect anything in return, it's like, I'm going to create a business and I'm going to give my employees 10%. And I'm going to teach them about Bitcoin and they're going to put that in their Bitcoin wallet. And in this time, while it's in a wallet and they're working through us for 4 years, what are your dreams? You know what? I've always wanted to buy my dad a house. He took care of me my whole life. I want to buy him a house. Well, fuck. If someone's giving you 50 to $100 a month in Bitcoin, stacking that every 2 weeks for 4 years, that's a dream come true. And the blessing of that person is going to get that satisfaction more than anything. It might come back in money. It might come back in health. It might come back as a blessing for their children. It might come back as blessings in when they reach the kingdom of heaven, you know? And whatever that looks like, whatever that is, for whatever religion they're in, whatever, but that will come back, and it'll be an eternal blessing. And until people start thinking that way, it's that's where the shift comes in.
Yeah, amen, brother. I love it. What you were saying about Mars, and we can't even get it right, so to speak, on our own planet that is full of abundance. And there's. I always think about why isn't there fruit trees planted in communal settings, right? So that homeless people could eat, so that you could walk down the street and pick a pineapple or whatever. It's like they destroy it and they make it industrialized and devoid of spirit and abundance at every turn, everywhere,
Yeah.
all over the world. And that goes in line with what you're saying, right? About government and about this planet. And it kind of like, it fundamentally just isn't in alignment with the human spirit. And I'm amazed that nobody's kind of gotten that right. And so, you're doing it the way that you know how to do it. You're building it, from the ground up on your own property. But I would love to see that kind of thinking and that kind of shift in spirit and soul, like into the everyday city. And maybe people walk by it and they don't understand what's happening and they don't appreciate it. But that there are enough people that have that change of spirit that it's like, okay, we're going to provide with the abundance that we have here on this planet. We're going to plant fruit trees in the public instead of build more, I don't know, sidewalks or whatever else that's just dead and not giving anything to the human, population. So
Yeah.
that's how I see it. And I hope in my lifetime we do see that. But God bless people like you who are building from the ground up and actually providing that.
And you can see that. But somebody has to do it. You know what I mean? So like if that's a dream you have, I would be thinking of every single way of where you could have your piece, or and plant that and plant those trees, because I believe that whenever we do anything, there's a cosmic ripple within humanity, as we're all connected, and it has profound changes. It has really profound changes. And like truly, like Rick and Morty changes in the future. You know what I mean? Like, what is that called? The butterfly effect. People we don't realize how great of change that we can have, even from like a smile, making someone laugh.
Yeah.
It's pretty it's a cool opportunity to do cool things. We have the opportunity to do so many cool things, so many cool things. And you know
Yeah, one
um
home, one job, one opportunity can change generations. Yeah, I would love if you talked to us a little bit about Coconut Man. I think that story was extremely heartwarming. How did that feel for you?
oh man, what it felt great. I didn't have like a profound like because I kind of call myself now like the gynecologist of charity. You know what I mean? Like you're a little kid and you see titties for the first time, you're like, oh my gosh, freaking titties, dude. But now it's like I'm just like seeing the titties daily. And but what that turned into is like a friendship that I never could have had the experience of having in my life, to like really bond with an old man, to be like, I'll just be like sitting down, we'll just be chilling and hanging out and just enjoy each other's presence. That
Yeah.
right there is like I've never experienced that before, as just like a friend. All the friends that we're talking about business, we're talking about partying. Like before I came to do this work, we're talking about what clubs we'll go to. We'll talk about what festivals we'll go to. We'll talk about what girls we met at the bar. Um, so he was a beautiful opportunity, like a marvelous event that I could witness within my life here, and it was cool. Like I met him. Gave him $100. It was one of my videos. Gave him $100 bill when he asked for a dollar. I'm kind of joking with him, and his one of his son has a cement truck we gave him to deliver cement, like a big flatbed truck, to like sand and cement bags. And he has a house. We built a second unit on the corner of his house, that so his more of his family can live there. And we got his daughter like all these like freezers and fridges and sewing machines, so she sews. And daily, like every time I go visit him, people are like banging on the door buying choco bananas, like the little chocolate frozen bananas. And last time I went there, right before I took him to Rome as his last wish, and there's more freezers filled with more bananas. And she's like, "Yeah, I reinvested, like you taught me."
Mm.
And that right there, it wasn't him, it wasn't the house, it wasn't that. I was like, fuck yeah. You know, like there's no other words. And I know I gotta stop swearing. It's one of my new goals. But fuck yeah, man, like uh, even though it's just another freezer with more chocolate bananas, it's like that's it. That we did it. You know, the
Yeah,
donors
man.
did it. We freaking did it.
Oh man, I'm this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast and been a little bit emotionally overwhelmed. You know, it's one thing to see people's work on social media and be like, yeah, that's cool, that's powerful, but just speaking with you, man, like you're one of my kind of people. Yeah, sorry for listeners if this is a little bit of a segue, but I'm just I have chills. I'm touched by the power of this. So, you know, man. Okay. You've mentioned the Bitcoin retirement plan for employees. I think it's a very forward-thinking idea. Do you want to walk us through how that works and how it's going to empower the people in the community that you're building to dream a bit bigger?
Yeah, so right now we're still in the talks of that. I chatted a little bit with Max Kaiser about it. I'm talking with John Dennehy with My First Bitcoin here, chatting with the cats. They have a really cool the Bitcoin hardware store over on Bitcoin Beach.
Yep.
And so we're trying to figure out like what are the best tools going to be, what are the best like payment options going to be, because I'll admit like I'm not a technical person. I just know that Bitcoin is here and it's the future. So I want to figure that out, but I want to figure out a way where this can be stored as like a cold wallet and then have sign an agreement for them. Like they're still going to get their salary. They're still going to get a bonus of that, whatever that percentage is going to be in cash, whether they want it Bitcoin or Efectivo cash. Doesn't matter. Like this is for you to live a much better life. But I want to take a percentage of that and store it in a wallet and give them incentive and say, hey, if you stick with us for 4 years and you're showing up on time, we're teaching them now to be a fucking badass worker. And you're showing up on time, you can have access to this in 4 years. Or do you want to roll it over and teach them now, planting the seed of what is your dream? What is your dream? You want to start up your own business? Let us help you. You don't need to be a slave to Murph's Life. You don't need to be a slave to Casa Conejo, even though all of our workers, for the most part, freaking love it. You know, a lot of time my wife had to talk to him like, you guys have wives and children. You can't stay for an extra 6 hours. Like, no joke. We have a group of them that stay for 6 hours and continue to work because they believe in the mission. They love the mission. We had a problem with people stealing last year before, and a lot of material, a lot of products. And dude, people take shifts and sleep in sheds, and they went and set up like more cameras, and we've had not one freaking nail stolen. You know what I mean? Because they now are a part of this. Like this is our community now.
Yeah.
And that only comes through love. And so that's what we want to build is as a way of allowing them because you know, for the most part, most people with a good amount of wealth, for the most part, come from better resources. It's very, very rare. It's not impossible, but it's very rare that someone comes from a dirt floor, a rusty shack where the water's coming in. You know how it is in Mexico too. For them to be able to have the kind of resources to invest in their own country, to
Yeah.
take their own family out of poverty, to send their kids to school, to still be in their own country so they don't have to freaking migrate and send money back and forth and not see their children grow up and their parents die while they're not able to jump on a plane and risk of getting deported. That's rare. And this is what we want to shift.
Mm.
As technology advances, more and more people will be working online. We can work abroad. How can we teach the poor of the poor to take their family out of business and not just some fuck go come in here? I'm going to build a fuck hotel. There's shacks on the side of the road. I'm going to use my contacts with my money and power to kick them out. This is what happens. Get out of here. And now the value of the land 10x's and they'll never be able to buy ever. And this is what happens in every single country around the world. You know, so how can we create an economy that's based on the back of the local labor? Who is
Mm.
that? That is the workers. And it's hard. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to take advantage because that's the culture. You know, like, oh, like I have to call them Don and not really look at the bosses and, you know, get yelled at. You have to be firm. I fucking sometimes. What the fuck you guys doing? Like, but it's that we have that relationship, and it's an opportunity for me to learn patience, to not yell, like to get rid of my childhood shit from a dad that all the fuck that I took on, you know. Um, and you have to fire a lot of people. We fired probably 500 people, 1,000 people. I wouldn't be surprised. Fire and find those people who want to be the freaking people here,
Change
you know,
maker. Yeah.
the change makers within their communities. And that right there is beautiful, man. That I'm finding a lot of joy in this, and it's difficult and it's hard, and people will try to take advantage of you and steal behind your back, and you have to know that you can never fully just trust anyone. Anyone can steal from you, anyone can rob you, anyone can take advantage of you, act one way, and then when you're gone, everyone's fucking lazy and slow, you know. But this is a spiritual journey for us. It's not about just building Bitcoin Mountain. It's not about just finishing our citadel. It's not about even our women's shelters. It's about one, our own personal growth within this, learning wisdom, learning, because that's why God sent us here. He sent us here to become more Christ-like. And that should be everyone's mission, whether you believe in Christ or not, is what are the basic teachings of, and I don't even really read the Bible, you know what I mean? But what are the basic teachings to forgive, to turn the other cheek, to give your shirt, and to be able to get slapped in the face, robbed, you know, our fuck hotel here was fucked. That's why we stopped construction for 4 to 6 months. We have to redo the electrical work, tear up the fucking cement. We have to reinforce 6 pillars. It's costing us 6 figures. And boom, boom, turn the other cheek, and learn not to just fully trust. Okay, let's get some contracts, and now you, every time you do it better, you do it better, you do it better, you're smarter, you're smarter. And at the end of it, when you're in your deathbed, this is how I look at it, was, does it matter how much Bitcoin I have? No. Does it matter how much land and money I left my kids? Not necessarily. But I learned and I mastered that people could spit in my fucking face, that people could laugh at your ideas, that some of your ideas will fail. And I learned patience. I learned love. I learned forgiveness. Isn't that what we want to take with us? And that right here must be, in my opinion, a core concept for us to be based upon, in our souls and in our missions in life. That is it right there.
Wow. I can just, yeah, feel my like spirit waking up just hearing this. And I'm sure people listening to this are going to be inspired and motivated to act and to do something. And yeah, like see where they're falling short in their life, and maybe not hold on to their coins so tightly, and actually put them to use. Do you think a lot of the people that you're working with there, that you're employing, understand the things that you just talked about, like in terms of this being a spiritual mission or
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah, we have we've circled people around multiple times and had like almost like a speech to everyone, and then we talk about their issues, and they'll say like, well, you know, like some, because people just coming on are still going to make minimum wage. You know what I mean? Like 380, whatever it is that our team is paying. And it's like, well, you don't understand. Like, I can't send all my kids to school. I can't send all my, and I never like to dangle a carrot, because we're building right now, and we barely like, you know what I mean? Like every night I have sweats. Like, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, I need to put another 1.5 million into this, and our roadmap is 5.2 million now that we've just readjusted. 5.2 million for the next 3 years, so everyone gets a home, a bungalow. We have our permaculture soil regenerating school set up. The hotel is totally finished. We have an expansion. We have more land, you know. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? I don't have enough money for that. But I know, like, one, if I fail, I don't give a shit. Like that I don't care about, because I can look at my daughter and say, I didn't back down. I wasn't scared. I fucking did it. I went for it. And if everything fails, it's like, hey, I started a women's shelter and we've had 100+ women go through there who receive therapy, who are, we take in attempted murder and child rape. That's how we have our licenses set up. And fuck, yeah, I help those women, we're 10 out of 10 with our women's shelter. They get relocated. They have their own home. We get them beds. We get them food. We help them out with their rent for a little bit, and we make sure they have a job. And then that's when they graduate our program. And so I don't care. And the second thing is, I have God, and I know, like, there's been so many times where when I walk, I'll pray in my heart, like, hey God, I talk to him like kind of a crazy person, like he's really there. Like, God, show me, who can I help right now? Who can I help? And miracles have happened. And I'll test that sometimes with God. I'll be like, God, with true faith, God, I'm gonna give away without filming so many times. I have $500 I pulled out of the ATM, and I'll just walk. I'll be, God, show me someone. Show me someone right now that needs this. And I'll just walk for 3-4 hours, and I'll find a little old lady with a little canasta, a little basket, and I'm like, here's no filming. Here's $500. And I've done this with friends. I've done this with friends who do not believe in God. And I was like, watch this, watch this. I'm going to speak with God, and you're going to see this. And I'll walk, and I've given out $500 when I was in Colombia, Bogota, and I gave a little lady, $500. And I'm like, watch this. And I put my notifications on Venmo. Ding, $1,000. God put it on my heart to send this right now.
Wow.
How does that happen if we're not connected?
Mm.
And that is my faith of, I talk to God all the time, like, God, open up people's hearts to see this mission, open up people's hearts who want to do something similar and do it. Whether, it doesn't have to be with me, they can do it in other places, or there's other people that are looking for, I know there will be a way for them to see one video, even a podcast through this, who can truly believe in this. And we are one of the few foundations that show exactly how that'll be spent. And a lot of our bigger donors, like, here's $200,000, and I'll tell them, like, okay, this is what we can do. I'll put this into houses. I'll build a school in the Amazon. I'll build this, and I'll tell them too, I'm gonna put 50,000 back into the reserve, because we have a lot of salaries. I have to take care of my people in 3 countries.
You've also built a school that's already funded, right? That cost around 600,000 USD, right?
No, we didn't build that. They never gave us the permit.
Ah, okay.
And so the government was going to do basically half-half, like a half-half split. One second, I'm going to look out my window here. Little commercial break. Amor, ya bajo. ¿Cuánto sale? We just got a quote. We had someone come and audit the farm next door. So she's going to tell me right now. So yeah, to kind of wrap this up, and we can do another one too if you want.
Sure.
So because it's such a small road going up, imagine 100 kids are coming down, it's a mountain. So if a truck is coming up and 100 kids are leaving, it was too dangerous. And they said the only way we could build the school is there's 6 shacks, and one of the people would not move. They're like, I'm not moving my shack. I'm not moving my shack. And it was a battle, dude. And I'm like, I'm not gonna freaking just throw some shithead who has an illegal house there 50 like off. They want, like, like almost extorting to not be able to build a school. So what we did is we're building 3 schools right now. We're finishing up. We should be finishing this week. We built 3 schools in Ecuador, because
Wow.
in Ecuador it's a lot. I already had my contact. We've built schools in the past. We built 2 little mini high schools for an indigenous village, and then a really big elementary school for, like, well, not big, but maybe for like 60, 70 kids.
Amazing, man. That's incredible. Did you want to wrap up, or did you need to wrap up here?
Yeah, man. I mean, I can wrap up now. But basically that's it, man. Like, we have our roadmap, 5.2 million, to be able to expand this. So any listeners, any watchers, it's just MurphsLifeFoundation.com to help us finish this. And you are more than welcome to come and visit, check it out, and see what we're building. And El Salvador is rad, man. El Salvador is a beautiful place. And I know there's a few people leaving because of the IMF loan. And I don't give a shit. I'll do this in any country, even if they're anti-Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's not 100% about the Bitcoin. It's what kind of impact can we have that can raise the conscious barrier and change people's lives for generations to come by teaching them how to fish. That is the general principle. And if we can teach people how to fish in a way that involves fixing human soil, That's it right there. Kind of like two birds and one stone.
Amazing, man. Well, I'm definitely going to reach out to you after this to schedule round 2 because I have a lot more that I want to get into. Probably another hour if you'd be so kind to sit with me again. But just yeah, this was incredible, man. Thank you so much for sharing your personal struggles and triumphs and your passion, and for joining us on the podcast today. It's really meant a lot and really inspired by it. You're not just building Bitcoin Mountain, you're building hope, you're building community. And I think you're really building a future where everyone has a chance to thrive and live a life that is meaningful to them. So just to our listeners, if you want to support Aaron's work, please check out at MurphsLife on X, visit his website, MurphsLifeFoundation.com, or get in touch with him directly. And honestly, consider sending some sats to help build those homes, schools, and women's shelters and further the mission. Aaron, you're a legend, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man. We'll chat soon, brother.
Awesome, guys. That's it for this episode of the My Two Sats Show. If you love the conversation, give us a follow and share this episode to your friends and family. Till next time, keep stacking, keep helping, keep believing in a happy and healthy decentralized future.